Hey, all right. Let's just check some. Trying to get this set up here. I'm up in Linden. I'm looking for something to prop up our little program. I hope everything is going all right. Happy Friday. It's a beautiful day up here in Linden. And of course, I just need something to change the angle. All right. How's sound? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Hey, hope everybody's doing good. I'm up here in Linden. I know you can only see part of my face, but I'm trying to adjust it. See that this could work. We have a fundraiser up here tonight in Linden. I love it. Just there's a great bakery up here. I'm sitting right in front of it, the Linden Bakery, just here to my right. It's a great epic place. Currently closed, heartbreaking, but maybe we'll have something here tomorrow. Across the street's Avenue Bread, which is another great facility up here. And I went to one of my favorite places here in Linden, which is the Edeling Dairy, and they make wonderful chocolate malts. So if you're up here, sound is great. Good. I highly recommend that you check that out if you're up here. But tonight we're going to have an event in a barn surrounded by raspberries. So we're going to be at a raspberry farm, and it's going to be a gorgeous time. I'm so excited to be able to be here and enjoy some time with good friends. It's going to be packed, which will be fun with a lot of freedom-loving people. But God is good for sure. Well, I know a lot of you like my scarf, Mike? Thanks. I got this in Israel. So, on the streets of Israel. Take it with me all around the world. Took it with me to Kenya, take it a lot of different places. It's kind of nice. But anyway, back on the subjects. Isaac, thank you so much. I really appreciate you voting for me. I sincerely appreciate it. It's been fun to hear from a few different people that have already jumped in to vote. Love Jesus, not the scarf. Well, thanks. We all have our own taste in what kind of clothes we wear, and scarves for sure. But all right, so Tanal, thank you so much for your support. I sincerely appreciate it. Would love to be able to take a few questions today. Thank you, Brian, for rooting for me. Hopefully everybody has their ballots. I know many people have already voted already, so it's pretty incredible. Isaac, nice to see you. Thank you. I really appreciate your support, what you're giving me forward. Yeah, I did bring a lawsuit against in federal court against Jay Inslee. Thanks for asking about that. We did have victory in court to prove that Jay Inslee does not have the power to make dictates against us. My case was certainly it was focused on religious liberties that are being violated. 67% of people in Washington state consider their relationship with God important to them. And so, I'm a Christian. I don't keep that hidden. That's true. In Washington state and in America, we have the right to worship whom we desire. And the thing is, a lot of people, there's Muslims, there's Jews, there's Hindus, there's Christians that wanted to be able to meet with their spiritual advisor or a fellow believer and pray together. And yet Jay Inslee said if the topic turns to something religious that you're not permitted to do so, but you can go to the pot shop, the liquor store. If you want to cure your anxieties by going to Walmart or Costco, you're free to do so. But not here. Not under Jay Inslee's Washington, but thankfully in federal court, we had the Attorney General admit that his client, the leading law enforcer of the land, doesn't have the right. Isaac, totally agree. Let's get Jay Inslee out of there. Would love to jump on a couple questions, but if you are in the Linden area, I strongly encourage you to come and join us tonight at 6 o'clock. You can go to freedforgovernor.com and you can sign up to come. And we're going to be where am I going to be? Tomorrow at noon, we're going to be in La Conner. And then I'm flying to Spokane to go to a big rally that we're having to support first responders. So if you're in the Spokane area, please come and join us. It's going to be a great event. And then next day, a couple events in Spokane as well, a couple fundraisers. So if you're free, please go to freedforgovernor.com/events. You can also, hey Kim, great to see you. We spent a couple days, Kim and I, my family and a bunch of us were gathering at several different events. We went to Kashmir and Chelan. We were in Moses Lake, Wenatchee, so a lot of great things happening over the last couple days. Came home for a night, now I'm going to be gone for almost the rest of the week, just traveling around Washington State, visiting and making sure that we are successful here in the primary. Please, please, please. When will I ever be in Yakima? I've been there many times over the last several months, but I'll be there, I think, in a week. I think I have well, I know this is not Yakima, but it's Prosser, which is close enough to be able to drive down and join us. That should be, I'm going off of memory because I'm on my cell phone right now, but it's around the 23rd, I believe. So please, again, go to freedforgovernor.com or to Joshua Freed for Governor. You can click on events and you can see it there. Hey, Kathy. So please, are there any thoughts, any questions? I see there's folks asking about specific locations, which is totally great. I appreciate that. Oh, gun control. I am a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. I'm very happy to say that the NRA has given me an A endorsement, meaning that I'm strongly supporting our Second Amendment rights. That's been a question for a lot of people. I'm telling you, I get a lot of questions on where do you stand on gun amendment or gun rights. At one point during the campaign, I brought up the idea, should we have a gun rights commission? That gun rights commission is to make sure that we can protect our rights. When we were all under the stay-at-home order, I went down to Edmonds and 10 of us went there because we heard that they were actively looking to take away our Second Amendment rights in Edmonds. So I went down there. They kicked us out, 10 of us, peacefully there wanting to just testify. So in one night, our First Amendment rights taken and our Second Amendment rights were taken. And so we fought that. I made a video. Within 24 hours, we had 80,000 people watch that video, which is extraordinary. We're talking watches, not hits. It was like 172,000 hits or something. I don't know. It's insane. Like 80,000 full views, which is wild to think about. But we got people writing in, sending emails and texts, and by Friday, unanimously, the council removed, which is pretty cool. Hey, Sharnessa, thanks so much for hosting a couple meet and greets recently. I really appreciate it. I just saw a question shoot by the screen there. Keep in mind, I can only see one question at a time since I'm on my iPhone and my iPad is in the car. But the question was, what about sanctuary cities? And I think that by Jay Inslee making our state a sanctuary state, it's just awful. Oh, I know. Yeah, Dana, there's a lot of misinformation coming out of the cult group, which is unfortunate. A lot of lies, a lot of smears coming from cult, but that's, I guess, the game that he wants to play. He wants to defend a sexual predator rather than be honest and truthful. He needs to get out of the race. It's time. But I guess at this point, what's the point? He hasn't even put together a full voter statement, so I don't think a lot of people are going to be paying attention. But regardless, we need to focus on our rights here, and when you see a governor put forward a sanctuary state that has made this a hotbed for the sex trade, that means average age 12-year-old boys and girls are sold into sex slavery. It's disgusting. It's wrong. It's all part of the agenda where comprehensive sex education was passed at 2:08 in the morning on the House floor with the disclaimer from TVW about the warning of content explicit material. So I'm happy to say that I am a lead co-sponsor and contributor to Referendum 90. And now that we got qualified for the ballot with record-setting numbers of signatures, we need to reject Referendum 90. And therefore, we're going to be rejecting comprehensive sex education. On that note, or a note of initiatives anyway, I am the leading funder for, sponsor for it's Initiative 1114. It was just announced by Restore Washington on Tuesday. They are leading this effort and doing a great job of doing so. Yes, Sharon, I am pro-life, but 1114 is to limit the emergency powers of the governor. So it will limit the emergency powers to 14 days without the Four Corners saying that they wanted to extend it. And what that means is that one person in control can't continue to lord over 7.5 million citizens in Washington state. Jay Inslee is trying to take all the power that he possibly can and make dictates from a mansion we pay for and cast them over a high wall. He hides behind that, not connecting with the people. It's beyond heartbreaking. It's ridiculous and wrong. It's cruel. So many people that I've seen, even 6 to 8 homeless out of 150 that we serve recently are in first-time homelessness due to Jay Inslee's unconstitutional and unscientific and unproven directives against our rights. Washington State mental health hospital reform, absolutely. 2 years ago, July 2018, sorry, I got trucks driving by. July 2018, the federal government came in and wrote a 70-page report about the violations there at Western State Hospital and how dangerous it was for caregivers as well as those receiving care. And now the most vulnerable among us are living among the streets of our city. We're now 30% of the city, 30% of the homeless are dealing with unaddressed mental health issues. I think you might see a couple of familiar kids riding behind me right now. Having fun? We're having fun up here in Linden. Skateboarding's not a crime. Simon and Levi and their buddies with them today. So we're going to have a big gathering up here at a barn. All right, so onward. Where was I? Sorry, I get a little bit distracted when they were riding by there. Yeah, great, Karen. I look forward to seeing you in Spokane tomorrow. We got a couple events there, actually 3 different events at least at this point that I'm aware of. And Kim, you're asking for a friend. What do you think of contract tracing? Totally against it. A state government has continued to move forward. They've actually grown during this period of time where they've actually added 1,500 new employees to track and trace each one of us. I am strongly against that. We have freedom, and we need to protect those freedoms. All right. Mary, pick a quieter place. I know it's difficult sometimes. I didn't want to just sit in my car. Are you really having a hard time hearing or not? Mary, let me know, because I've not seen any complaints, and I just want to make sure y'all can hear me. He's going to shut down schools, right? What California does, he follows. I know. John, it's interesting that we've seen a governor defer his powers to a different governor. When he made the pact with Oregon and California, we've seen that Newsom has become the leader, where Jay Inslee has clearly shown that he doesn't have the capability. And I think about right now, one of the greatest needs that we have in Washington State is a need to be unified. And he is dismally unprepared to do so when he has divided us into groups of essential versus non-essential, put people in abject poverty with not being able to get their unemployment checks while he sends $1 billion to a Nigerian fraud ring. The condition at which he put our state is just frightening. To think about people I've met first-time homelessness, think about people that he has declared non-essential and says he's going to put them in prison or take away their business license if they try to go to work. That's terrible. He's divided us so far apart, even saying if your kid's out on the sidewalk, like my 2 boys just rode by, write them out of your will. And if they don't listen to you, tell them the governor's going to call him. He's a bully. He's not a leader. Leadership is using facts and bringing people along, not using a stick and hitting people down. All right, so let me look at a couple other questions. Schools need to be open, Marie. Absolutely. I think maybe shutting them at the beginning was fair, as people were we were feeling out what's the situation, where we stand, but that should have never been shut down for the school year, because it's going to put kids extremely far behind. And what happens when you open up the schools and open up businesses? What's it going to look like? They're going to mandate masks throughout the state. I think the power is truly held within the school districts. We have 294 independent school districts in the state of Washington, which means there's school boards there, which means the parents need to go and let their voices be heard. OSBI and the governor cannot make dictates into these individual school districts. Jay Inslee is not a law writer. He is the executive branch. The legislative branch writes the laws, and they're not even willing to meet right now. They're hunkering down at home, and they're wanting to talk about increasing taxes to cure the potential $8 billion shortfall. So let's open, but ultimately, what I think we need to see is educational choice. So parents need to choose the option that's best for their kids, and we can do so by using what I call an educational tax credit, retaining our funds to be able to then use it for a school of our choice. I think that is, sorry, I'm reading and answering. Christine, the mandatory mask, that really is up to you. I mean, we live in America. We live in a land of freedom. If you would like to wear one, by all means do. Science is going both ways on this. I'm hearing reports of the ERs receiving more people having respiratory issues. Clearly, wearing the same mask throughout the day and some people are wearing it day after day after day, is not healthy at all. The best lesson from the 1918 Spanish flu was be outside, like I am, in the clean air, breathing clean air, not covering your mouth and hiding and using the same mask that gets infected inside and you're breathing your own oxygen. That's not the way to get back to health. What we need right now is certainly herd immunity, not mentality, herd immunity. Are schools opening in the fall? Christy, I believe they will open in the fall. Are you confident that there's a secure voting process in this place? John, I think we always need to look for ways that we can improve how we vote. I sure would love to go back to polling locations where we have to physically go there and vote. I think making Tuesday, Election Day, a holiday where folks can, maybe even get half the day off of work to be able to go in there and be able to vote. Right now, the amount of fraud that can occur through mail-in voting, I think, is pretty exorbitant. We need to, I wish, almost, where you do Control-Alt-Delete to restart a computer. I think we need to restart the voter rolls and have everyone re-register to vote again. All right. Thank you so much for these questions. Glad you're against contract tracing. I am, Christy. I'm also against forced vaccinations. Again, it's so interesting. From the liberal side, we hear my body, my choice, and then they want to force vaccinations. Please explain the purpose of the gun commission so we can better respond to the confusion promoted by CULP supporters. Brian, I made a video today and it's on my page. I can send it to you individually or directly if you want. I even did subtitles so people could read if they can't listen to the video. But basically, I explained that my wife and I are very strong supporters of the Second Amendment. I even got reported in The Stranger, the most liberal magazine in Washington State, or maybe even the nation, that I only own 25 guns. They are trying to paint me like a gun nut, but it's interesting for the CULP supporters. They want to treat me like I'm somebody that is trying to steal away all their guns. It's the only option they have. It's sad. You got to be honest in a campaign. Being dishonest and causing division is not the way to go. All right. So let's see. The Gun Commission, the Gun Rights Commission. I always call it a Gun Rights Commission, and the big word in the middle is rights. Rights. Rights that need to be protected. It's very important that we protect our gun rights. That's why I thought this might be a good idea, and I'm getting a lot of people that love the idea, and then some people who have, rightfully so, some paranoia about commissions, because often the Democrats use these commissions to steal away gun rights. What I want, or not gun rights, but just rights in general, what I want is another tool in the toolbox to advise me as the governor. I'll always be looking to Alan Gottlieb, the Second Amendment Foundation, to Jane Millhands, or to the NRA, and to other gun groups throughout the state that can advise me. But when I saw very clearly during the stay-at-home order, Second Amendment rights being taken away in the city of Edmonds, I want a watchdog committee for the governor that I would specifically appoint these people to protect our gun rights. Again, it's in the title, Gun Rights Commission, to protect our gun rights. That's what's super essential. If you have any suggestions on how to rename that to better explain it, boy, I'm always open to suggestions. So I get a lot of great advice each and every day. Keep grinding, buddy. Thank you, Ben. I really appreciate it. All right, Michelle, let's see what we got here. Are you in Spokane on Saturday or Dundee? Saturday and Sunday. So tomorrow I'll be at we're doing a law enforcement rally in the Riverfront Park. So that should be fun. And then we have a couple of fundraising events on Sunday. So again, go to our Facebook page and you can read a little bit more about that. Brian, I'm so glad that you can hear fine. I really appreciate that. Karen, thank you so much for saying it's fine. Looking forward to Whipshaw on Monday. So I'll be in Reardon and Davenport, and then Ellensburg on Monday. Please join me if you're in one of those places. Lana, thanks so much. I'm glad I've taken the time to hear you. You sound perfect. Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate it. Mary, just a suggestion. I can hear you okay. Oh, good. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know. Sitting beside the side of the road wasn't the best place. I looked for a couple other places, but since the boys are down here, I kind of wanted to be in eye shot of them. I can hear you fine. All right, let's keep on scrolling down. The legislature passed a law giving the governor the right to abridge freedom of assembly when the Constitution We passed something collectively. I did not. I voted against expanding the emergency powers of the governor last November. Many people sadly voted to give him more power. I'm actually supporting Initiative 1114 financially to limit the powers of the governor. And it's interesting because, of course, I'm working to be your governor coming in January. I'm willing to put money to even limit what my powers would be. That's how important it is. The power is inherent in the people, not in a dictator from Olympia. Talk about Bellevue police snitching app, stay safe, stay home. I don't like that. Obviously, I don't like the big government looking in, like the 1,500 people that are tracing you. That's just horrible. You got my vote. Thank you, Mindy. I really appreciate it. Thank you. We need to reopen schools. Yes, we do. Kids are falling behind, and the indoctrination of passing comprehensive sex education at 2 in the morning completely is wrong. He's speaking at the police support rally in the riverfront at 2. That's exactly right, but I'll be there around 3. And then Teen 8 on Sunday. Thank you. That's very helpful. Yes, we need to open schools. Totally, terribly agree. Are you against mandatory mask and social distancing? Yeah, I just talked about that, but just to be clear, yes, we can make our own choice whether to wear a mask or not. It should not be mandated, nor should vaccines. Let's see. Will you be in Spokane? Please go to my events, and you can find the locations, freedforgovernor.com or Joshua Freed for Governor. You can find specifically where those are. All right. What we do for small business owners like Evelyn and about me is okay. So let's talk about that, because one of the most important things that we need to do is reopen the economy. I've met far too many business owners who will never open again. I just think that's terribly wrong, because these businesses are ones that have been set up by individuals and been many families depend on this. I was just down in Longview recently, and I met a husband and wife who came up, and they explained that they were shutting down their business that they had been running, and they're with their 2 children whose eyes were wide, wondering what really does the future look like. And it's Jay Inslee's making these unconstitutional directives, says that he's using science and data, and yet he's never used true science and data. It's pretty wild to think about how far this guy has stretched and how many lies he's spread and how he's tried to act like a bully. Actually, he's a bully. He thinks he's trying to be dad-like, but we don't need people every time he gets off one of those press conferences to say, now remember to wash your hands. It just comes across as condescending, and that's not leadership. All right, small businesses, how would you get the economy moving? Well, when I was mayor of the city of Bothell, I helped oversee the largest revitalization of a downtown in Washington State. And part of it was because we rewrote the code for downtown Bothell, and then we went and actively recruited investors to come into the city of Bothell. And we saw $450 million worth of private investment within the city of Bothell. We can do the same thing for Washington State, yet you hear about leadership that continues to put onerous burdens on business. We have 57,000 pages of regulations that are antiquated. We need to see those sunset, and we need to also find better options than the business and occupation tax. You know, the first bill that Jay Inslee signed this year coming out of the legislature wasn't something to plan for the pandemic, but it was an increase on the B&O tax. The business and occupation tax continue to put burden on small business. Jay Inslee should have been preparing for a pandemic, but you know that he dismally underfunded public health for years prior to this. They spent more time planning for heroin injection sites than planning for a pandemic. That's your governor. Let's replace him. Please vote for freedforgovernor.com when your ballots are coming in. I know several people have already sent me pictures of their ballots, and I really, really appreciate your support. We have to consider who can win in the general in November. And of course, I believe that I have the experience necessary to address the myriad of failures that we're seeing here in Washington State. No other candidate running on the Republican side can do it. I have one guy that just got in the race from Yakima who has not only... Oh my goodness, you guys. When I became a PCO 25 years ago, Kay Regan, who was the chair of the 1st District Republicans at the time, said to me, Josh, now have you voted in the general election? Because you can't become a precinct committee officer unless you've done that. You know, if you want to be involved in the process, you better make sure you vote. Well, this guy from Yakima hasn't voted but one time in 24 years. Never voted to, or never contributed to a Republican. He's the same guy who says we shouldn't run red, we need to run purple. Why say I stand on principle and I don't take a knee at mediocrity? This guy should be running for precinct committee officer, and at best, maybe good luck of getting the position, because if you have not cared to vote and yet you claim that you are under oppression in Cuba, then you come here and you don't vote, sorry, your words, your story have no meaning, no value, no worth. Go do something else. Be on the front lines somewhere else, but not if you haven't even voted and spent the time, and then you claim that socialism in Cuba was so burdensome, and yet you come here and don't even bother to vote as an adult. I'm sorry, that's unforgivable. We can forgive sins and other things for sure, but it's not something that you can forgive and then just run for governor. Now you guys know my feelings. All right. With many Democrat-filled positions around the governor, how do you plan to implement Republican-conservative? Oh, come on, expand. Okay. Next time I'm doing this on my iPad. Last time I did it on my iPad, it just wasn't working so well. But, all right. Well, you know, when I was mayor of the city of Bothell, I worked with independents, Republicans, Democrats, and the like, because you need to find common ground. You don't have to compromise your principles, as I just said. You don't have to run purple. You can stand on principles. But there's so many things that we can agree upon if we spend the time and invest in it. And sadly, what happens so often is some people want to take the credit for any successes, but there's nothing we can't accomplish if we don't care who gets the credit. If it impacts the citizens of Washington in a positive manner, that's where the focus should be. So I'll be focused on bringing people to the table and making sure that voices are heard. Hey Kim, so you will be there tomorrow. You can go to Facebook events. Yes, exactly. Thank you for that help. What are your views on gun control? I just posted a video to try to make it a little bit more clear of where I stand, because my opponents, especially Culp, have been trying to continue to smear. I think honesty is the best case to move forward. The dishonesty and defending a sexual predator and really accusing somebody that was violated sexually for 12 years, it's reprehensible to me. It's disgusting. So let's be honest. Let's be men of integrity to stand in the gap for those who have been abused. I used to be a marriage and family counselor. I've stood in the gap defending people that were abused, and that's really what we need to do. Let's keep it positive. Let's move forward and lift up those women that have been victimized and support them and let them know that they are loved. The guy on the motorcycle's having a good time. So, gun control. I have been clear, and I'll be clear again, and I'm glad that you asked the question. I strongly support our Second Amendment rights, and I just posted a video on Joshua Freed for governor to make it clear again, and posted pictures of my A rating given to me by the NRA. So, Stephen, I hope that helps. I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment, and I'm enjoying them as we sit here. All right, so there are drop boxes. At least we'll have those. Polling places, yes, very nice, but go drop your ballots off in the drop boxes. Mary Jo Bader, great to see you the other night. Thanks so much for coming over. It was nice to see you and your husband, and it was a great dinner. All right, Lindy, see you tonight. My wife Lindy will be there as well, but she's an IE, you're a Y. That's great. Thank you, Christy, about the mask mandates. No, it's an attempt by Jay Inslee, but he doesn't have the right to write a law. Can't wait to hear you tonight. Good, Marie. I look forward to seeing you there. I like what I'm hearing. Cool. Thank you, Mary. I really appreciate it. I'd certainly be honored to have your vote. Certainly would be honored to be able to earn your support. And please, if you've already voted, please, 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 just take a minute, text 20 of your friends or email 20 of your friends and ask them to vote for Freed. Vote for freedom. Go to freedforgovernor.com if they have any questions, or of course they can send me messages and I'll do the best I can to answer them. Thanks for your fighting for religious freedom. You bet, Charles. We got to do it. That's what's great about America. That's why our founding fathers came here, or the Pilgrims really so long ago, and then our founding fathers fought to preserve those freedoms through the writing of the Constitution and establishment of our liberties. And we have the right in America to worship whom we will, who we choose. And as for me and my house, I think you guys already heard, but I am a Protestant believer, and I think we just need to continue to recognize that people have different faiths here in America. We don't force our faiths on any others, but we're allowed to freely worship. I think the Democrats miss that. They want us to be silent on faith. And some people say in the past, well, you bring up faith and you're disqualified. I just think that's ridiculous. I have so many people. I lived in the Middle East. I lived in Egypt. I lived in Pakistan. And some of my best friends were Muslims. We got along just fine. We were able to chat, talk. We had mutual respect for each other. And no, I wasn't going to become a Muslim. And they weren't interested at that point to become Christian. But we were still able to sit at a table together and have a conversation that was respectful. I think we as the Republicans can set a great precedent for that, rather than say just be silent, and if you bring up any religion, then you're just a kook. Agreeing with the poking sites? I'm sorry, I'm not following. Oh, all right, I'll read this through. The Rossi Gregoire debacle is proof enough. Yeah, I would love to go back to the polling sites. Finding random ballots in the middle of the night is just wrong. Will you get along with the president? Yeah, of course. Inslee didn't, but he's a loser. I think it's best for putting aside personal differences and getting along with whoever the next president of the United States will be. Of course, I believe that it will be Donald J. Trump. All right, Ted, Friends of Culp, come on over. Amen. Looking for new leadership there. I have had a countless number of people come over from the Culp campaign, looking for somebody who supports the Second Amendment, looking for somebody who supports our constitutional rights. Sorry, I just whipped it around. Looking for a candidate such as myself who stood in the gap for women that have been abused in the past. It's something that I'm dedicated to. My wife and I find very, very important in our life. I vouch for him. He came out and shot with us. Oh, John. I love it. That was a fun day. Really had a good time, except for my darn gun that got jammed. But I think we're up and running again there, which is great. Should be a button on the lower left where you make a comment. All right, sorry you guys, I don't have to read all the comments to you, but caption your video. Amen. Sue, I work with the International Deaf Education in the Philippines, as you know, and I just think it's good to be proactive to put those captions on the screen for folks in the deaf community. You know, on that note, I think you all know this because anybody with common sense knows this, but there are some deaf that read lips, right? In order to live in a culture where a lot of people don't know sign, like 99% of people don't know sign, what they've learned to do is be able to read lips. And Jay Inslee has now dictated that if you are deaf, get this, you don't have to wear a mask. We'll just think about that for a minute. How does that make any logical sense? Just like all his other directives against us that don't make any sense. What's best is that if we don't wear a mask, right? So if a deaf person wants to read our lips, then they can read our lips because we're the ones moving our lips and talking, where the deaf person is not moving their lips to talk. He's upside down. You know, he's writing the most ridiculous... Yeah, thank you for the laughy face because it's just so stupid. That's why we desperately need a new governor who actually understands the most common sense things. He understands that people across Washington state are suffering. In all 39 counties, which I've visited them all, people are desperately suffering. All right, do you support the death penalty repeal? No, I don't, Jim, sorry. We need to enforce the laws, and I just think if you take a human life, your life needs to be taken. Murder is, we become quite the place of lawlessness, and Jim, I have to just reflect back on you. I don't know if you're saying you support it or not, so to say I'm sorry was wrong because you didn't say whether you're for it or not. But I am for the death penalty because if you go take a human life, an innocent life, you deserve the death penalty, no doubt about it. You shouldn't be a member of our society. We should not be paying $1 million to keep you in prison for the next 20, 30 years of your life. You should be, go where you sent that other person, no doubt about it. Josh Fried is an honest man of integrity. Oh, thank you, Christy. Fried for governor, thank you so much, please. And if you have a minute, just text your friends, email your friends. The more we can do, this is a great and very important time to get the news out that this is the time to vote as ballots are in hand. Please get them in now, and please get them in early. Do all you can, send emails out, do Facebook posts, do text, and just say, please vote for freedom, vote for Fried. And you got to go down to number 32. There's a lot of people running. Jay Inslee, I think, is number 31, and I'm number 32 right there near the bottom. Kind of crazy how it all worked out. When he made it free to file for governor, you can see the car driving off. When he made it free to file for governor, so many people just put their name on there and did whatever they can to put half statements in there, if even statements at all. How would you summarize your understanding of the governor's responsibilities, aka job description, without mentioning your... Come on, the see more is not working. So I only have part of that question, but I would just say, how would you summarize the understanding of this governor's responsibility? Is this to represent the people? And when you take the oath of office to represent the citizens of Washington State, you're saying that you're going to represent all the laws of Washington State and defend those rights that have been put into place by the initiative process. You know, one of my opponents is saying he's selectively choosing which laws to enforce and not enforce. I think what we need to do is we need to fight in federal court and it's to make sure that we are fighting unconstitutional laws. That's so important that we are active and I've already done that, and I will continue to do that. I beat Jay Inslee once, and I will beat Jay Inslee again. Name is the Second Amendment Task Force. Oh, well, you know what? Some people would say, it sounds like you're going against the Second Amendment. On my mind, just Stephen, I mean, it's great. I like the name. Maybe Second Amendment Rights Task Force? I don't know. Let's keep thinking about it. Love you and your wife's Christian views. My wife is the most extraordinary woman in the world. I love her quite dearly. As you know, I met her at Seattle Pacific University. I could not live this life without her. She is an amazing woman who loves God. And she is a constant support to me and my kids and so many friends and family around. It's extraordinary who she is, and the more you get to know her, you will love her as well. Am I back? Appreciate your ability to communicate our rights. I believe we will win votes. Well, Tony, I sincerely appreciate you and your advising me, giving me sound direction even from months ago on how to make sure that I'm communicating more clearly and accurately communicating the platform. I love the input I get from so many people in Washington State. Tony, I continue to invite your advice. Thank you so much, Lana, for your vote. Karen, thank you so much for posting where I'm going to be. Sorry, we need to make your message louder. All right. Well, Casey, this is a great time. Ballots just got into people's hands. We have just less than 2.5 weeks until August 4th, until all the ballots are due. But you can turn them in now. You can fill out the ballot. You can send them in. And please be loud. This is a time that we can stand up for true principles. We need to get our economy open again. We need to reopen Washington, get ourselves back on the right track. Where Jay Inslee has killed Washington's businesses and families, this is a time that we as conservatives can talk about why it was best for us to keep more of our hard-earned money rather than send it to Olympia, who then sent it to a Nigerian fraud ring. And yet Jay Inslee is still not fired the leader of ESD. Reckless. We also need to address the rise of crime in Washington State. We need to address the drug culture here. Did you know that 90 to 100% of foster children are drug-affected babies? True. 60% of our prison population are former foster kids. It's all connected to drugs. The rise in crime, where we've seen assaults on individuals increased by 20% under Jay Inslee, assaults on first responders increased by 40%, murders up by 41%, and rape is up by 65%. We live in a lawless society where our own personal safety is threatened because Jay Inslee is letting go 950 prisoners out of jail, and one vote away from the state Supreme Court letting violent criminals out of jail. That's your Washington. That's Jay Inslee's Washington, but it doesn't have to be that way. We can take control. We're going to take control now. This August 4th, make a vote for free and make a vote for freedom, because Inslee wants to keep you inside. That'd be a fun slogan, wouldn't it? Thank you, Jackie. Great Friday turnout today. Amen. The wording was horrible on what passed, but yes, we voted against it. I think you must be referring to the emergency powers last November that were expanded. Please come to Spokane. I agree. Wow, you guys, thank you for these questions. I appreciate it. Thank you for answering my Second Amendment questions via Messenger today. Culp cannot win the west side. No, he doesn't have a chance. When your campaign sign prior to the one that you see upon the freeways, the L on his name is a gun, that doesn't sell well in King, Pierce, and Snohomish County. Even though I am a Second Amendment guy, I at least know how to communicate to folks that want to have a professional type of governor that can be able to sit down at the table and negotiate billions of dollars of contracts and advocate for the citizens of Washington State. You are making your platform be mostly just guns, which is not going to sit well with where we need to pick up votes. So it's important people know. So I was elected to Bothell City Council 3 different times, right? And I was elected mayor by my peers because they trusted me. Do you know that the city of Bothell voted for John Kerry 56%? Do you know they voted for Obama? You know they voted for Hillary Clinton? But I was still, as a social conservative, fiscal conservative, I was still appointed as mayor, because you have to know how to speak the language. You have to build mutual respect. You can't just be arrogant and bombastic and just rage against the machine. You have to find ways to pull people to the table. But do you know, during those 12 years, even during the largest revitalization of a downtown in Washington State, I didn't have to raise taxes. That's the truth. So let me get to a couple other questions here. Thank you so much, Jane. I really appreciate it. What? I got Simon here. He needs my keys, so it's going to change the perspective. Say hi. Say hi. Hi. All right. So, thank you guys. I really appreciate you jumping on here. And please, if you have a chance, take that moment. There's nothing that we can't accomplish together. And so if you join me in helping get the news out, that's so important to turn in your ballots right now and turn to people and ask them to support me, Freed for Governor. I sincerely appreciate it. This is our hour. This is the one we've been waiting for 35 years. Just like the economy is cyclical, so is politics. You know, friends in the past have tried, and even one of them won before they stole it away from him with finding magical ballots. We're very diligent in making sure that we have folks with the Republican Party to be there to watch the ballots being counted. That's great. We have good leaders in the party. Caleb is working hard training folks that will be at the polling stations to make it clear. I know Kim Wyman, even though she was thrown under the bus by Culp and lied about this week, she's working hard to make sure that we can flesh out the fraud that's happening. We went knocking for you today. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Georgia. I really appreciate your help. If you haven't done so already, can you give a brief explanation of the gun commission that you suggested? Sir Jerry, I put a video up on my Facebook page today, and I've explained it a few times, but just to be clear, it's the Gun Rights Commission. And so if you repost anything like that, just make sure that you include gun rights. This is something I mentioned once and I've talked to a few people about, and there's a lot of support for it, and then there's a few people that have concerns, and I think rightfully so, because Democrats in the past have used commissions in a negative way. What I'm looking for is a watchdog committee to protect our Second Amendment rights. And is the Second Amendment sufficient? Yeah, I mean, it's there. It's the basis of our rights. But we need some more tools in our box to make sure that we can fight what is a constant onslaught against our constitutional rights. And I am a strong supporter, which is why the NRA gave me an A rating. All right, let's see what else we got here. Who do you want as Lieutenant Governor? You know, we've been doing a unity tour across Washington State, and we've been invited. There's 4 of us total: Joshua Freed, Marty McClendon, Matt Larkin, and Chris Leiba. We've been doing multiple different events over the last week, and over the next week and a half to 2 weeks, we're going to be doing another 10 together, because right now there's so much disunity, there's so much angst and anger and lies going back and forth from other candidates, and we're just sick and tired of it. We want to honor the citizens of Washington State by running an honest, transparent campaign, and so the 4 of us have found that we appreciate each other's platforms and feel that we're reunited on the message of supporting the Constitution, which ultimately means maintaining the rights given to the citizens and preserved by the Constitution. Washington voted for $30 registration tabs, but it hasn't been implemented. I think the sad thing is the Eyman's initiatives, I think last 9 have have failed to stand the test of court because he writes them as multiple point initiatives. The initiative process is explicitly clear. It has to be 1 point. And by putting so many in there, it's caused so many problems where only 3 out of the 21 or whatever that he's ever tried to go forward actually are law today. So I support the concept, and I think the voters voted on it, but the problem is it was inappropriately written. So, we need to make sure that we're implementing the will of the people, but also writing things properly. Sharon Cray, I've heard him say he's pro-life. Rebecca, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, I am. There's supporters in several in the Kitsap at Free campaign enjoys a huge movement in Kitsap. Absolutely. I thank you so much for that support. We are endorsed by Tony Stevens, the chair of Kitsap Republicans, endorsed by Dave McMullen, the chair of Pierce County. I'm endorsed by Snohomish County Republican Party. I'm endorsed by King County Republican Party. I'm endorsed by Benton County Republican Party. Wakayakum chair. Let's see, Andrew Barkus, state representative. Bob McCausland, Luann Van Werven, and the list goes on and on. Kelly Chambers. I am so blessed with the amount of people that jumped on board with the Free campaign, and we're updating the endorsement list. We've been focusing a lot on the 54 different events that are being hosted for us this month. That's one big thing I love to point out. My team is fantastic, and they've been doing the best. We got 6,500 some signs across the state. I think one other candidate is in the lead with 10,000, but we have been invited to 54 different events this year. So we're not having to set up our own events and try to create something, but we're having individuals that are putting these events on in their backyards, in their orchards, in their ranches, on their farms, in their potato barns. The amount of support that we're receiving from individuals wanting to host events for us is an absolute huge blessing. Our campaign is based upon these individual meetings and the support that we're receiving across the state in multiple different cities. We don't have to create these, but they are actually being provided for us as opportunities. You are just going to, it must be micromanage. Cole believes in letting the Constitution govern. Eric, you're dead wrong, my friend. So I support the Constitution. I am familiar with the state and the U.S. Constitution. I understand the rights are inherent in the people. And I love the negativity coming from you. That's just what I would expect from Culp. He sends it down, which is unfortunate. We need to remain positive, and our opponent truly is Inslee. So please, all my followers, I encourage you to keep our focus on Inslee. We will defeat him. And this is our time to show positive forward movement and just not lies and negativity. I've been lied about against Culp, or from Culp, 6 different times, and he's yet to apologize for me. I think even many people actually think he created a video and made it look like I was doing something, which is just so skullduggery, right? Check out his new video on his page. Thank you so much, Greg, on the Second Amendment. We honor the $30 tabs. Yes, I will. Garcia is pro-choice. Oh, yes, Karen, sadly true. And he says you need to run purple rather than running red, and he hasn't voted. But, whatever. Don't forget that Culp also did not vote for Trump. Oh, yeah, I know. That's just crazy. Find a way to remove 1639 completely. I totally hear you. I'm so glad that Alan Gottlieb right now, the Second Amendment Foundation, is fighting that in court. Please go support his efforts. Oh, boy. Let's see. Thank you guys for these questions. I'm just trying to get through them with my phone. You mentioned in a conference lowering the state tax. How can these be done based on our current economic issues? I didn't say lower the state tax. I'm trying to remember what I said. I said we need to cut state government by 25%. We've not seen any government jobs lost during this time. They've actually added 1,500 new employees while we're trying to hang on to our businesses, and we have the highest unemployment in the nation, and people are waiting for 8 weeks to get their unemployment checks, and new people are going into homelessness across our state. I think we need to cut state government by 25%. So let's do it. And we should have cut taxes last year. Still, so 60% increase in spending under Jay Inslee. Last year was a 17% spending increase. So even if we roll back the spending, we're still going to be at the same place we were the last budget cycle. So we can do it. the problem. Also, Garcia has a DUI. Yes, he does. Let's see. We just visited the Bothell Police Department. Jane, thank you so much for going there. Just going down to please, I encourage you all to go down to the Bothell Police Department if you're in the area, and you can see the monument, or memorial rather, that was set up at the police car and the flowers. And maybe not all of you are aware, but it's just heartbreaking what's going on, what happened in the city of Bothell just a few nights ago, where one of our officers in training was shot at 9:30 at night by a thug who yelled out obscenities before this criminal shot him. I mean, it's just awful. Please, my prayers go out to the family, and we need to support our first responders. This whole defund movement is absolutely dumb and ridiculous, out of control, out of line. These are the ones who stood on the sidelines with us on sports games. They're our neighbors next door, and they're the ones that are willing to go out and support us and put their lives on the line to protect us. Jay Inslee doesn't know how to support them. When he said he's unaware of what's happening on Capitol Hill, we all know that he's unaware of what's happening throughout the state of Washington. We need new representation. Thank you for your fight. Also, Deer Park on Monday. Yes, you have such a servant's heart. Oh, thank you. I'm not going to take a salary when I become governor. Peggy! Hi, Peggy. Good to see you. How we deal with the homeless and drug issues in the Seattle streets. All right, so what I call this is pathways to recovery. So if you're using drugs on the streets on Seattle, which 80% of the homeless are addicted to drugs and alcohol, you're going to go to jail if you're injecting heroin in your veins in our parks or on our sidewalks, because that's illegal. If you don't want to go to jail, we're going to give you an option to go to a Pathways to Recovery Treatment Center. This is a public-private partnership where we are going to, as the government, provide underutilized government facilities like McNeil Island. I want to start with Evergreen State College. It's an underutilized government facility. Let's send people there to get them stabilized, get them the help that they need. And then we're going to bring in nonprofits that are going to do the people-on-people treatment, meaning these are the folks that excel in detox, recovery, job training, apprenticeship programs. This is how we turn people's lives around, at the same time enforce the laws. It's true compassion. It's care for those that are suffering on our streets. We're also going to fix the mental health system that Jay Inslee has ignored for 2 years. The guy is detached from all reality, running around the nation, spending more time in Iowa than he does in Yakima. He loves riding around on a Learjet, but he is the guy that says during this COVID crisis that it's really hard work. He wishes it wasn't on his shoulders. He wishes it was on somebody else's. Well, Jay, step out of the way. It's time for new leadership, and I'm ready to lead. All right, let me think about something else that was on my mind today and I'm extremely frustrated about. I did a passionate interview about a couple weeks ago, and I'm telling you, Slidewaters is a phenomenal facility in Chelan. This is a place where we all go when we go to Chelan in the summer. I've been there a few times. My friends Jen and Burke Bordner own Slidewaters. Jay Inslee has sent them a $10,000 fine yesterday and ordered that they shut down. Yet this is a place that doesn't distinguish between skin color, ethnicity, whatever it might be. It's a place where we as a community of Washington citizens go. I'm trying not to say Washingtonians too much because I know how some people feel about when they hear Jay say that. Washington citizens go to join together, to celebrate times with friends and family and just be together. It's a place of community. And I was just in Chelan for a couple days this weekend, and there's so many city parks over there that are packed full. No social distancing going on, just packed full with people over there. And yet Jay Inslee lets the public parks, state parks, continue to run, but he wants to go up against private businesses. I'm telling you, if you've never written a letter of just angst or anger before, this is the time to write a letter of support and say, Jay Inslee, back off. You're going to be replaced. I cannot wait until November 3rd, where we will finally have an election we've been waiting for 35 years to remove a tyrant from the office of governor, a man who thinks he's king, but we have a constitution, and we're going to implement that as citizens. Don't believe the lies that you just heard from one of these guys just posting in here. That's why I laugh. It's ridiculous. How would you reunite Western and Eastern Washington? Chris Ann, thank you for asking that question. I am going to reduce state government by 25% and then take 5 existing state employees, I'll get my whole hand in there, 5 existing state employees to create regional offices of the governor. These are regional offices that I'll put in Central Washington, Eastern Washington, Northwest Washington, Southwest Washington, throughout the state, because we hear far too often, as I've traveled around all 39 counties multiple times, that people do not feel represented outside of the 3-county region of King, Pierce, and Snohomish County. And isn't that true when Jay Inslee said he's unaware even what's happening on Capitol Hill, right smack dab in the middle of their socialist Emerald City utopia? He's unaware of what's happening throughout the rest of the state. So these regional offices throughout the state of Washington that I will establish will allow me to hold office hours in those locations, and also allow for folks to give remote testimony to downtown Olympia. Far too often what's happened is people go to the committee meetings on the floor at the House or the Senate, and they are then not on the floor, but they're going to the committee rooms to give opinions on different things, but they're getting a skewed viewpoint down in Olympia in these committee hearings for people in Thurston County, Pierce County, and King County, because it's so easy to get to Olympia. But if you're in Omak or Spokane, you got to leave at 1 in the morning to testify at an 8 in the morning hearing, like when they heard comprehensive sex education. So regional offices of the governor are a way to unite the divide between Western and Eastern and Central Washington. It's even greater than that. I mean, it's really Seattle and King County against others, but I know that I can pull those together. I will do it. Those are where I have a lot of friends, a lot of connections. Stand in the gap. Amen. Since Inslee had a satanic service at the Capitol, will you invite pastors to pray over the Capitol building? Absolutely and completely. The setting is perfect. Don't worry about the traffic. Thanks, Tony. I'm so looking forward to it. Let me advertise this again, because the numbers have gone up and down. A lot of people jumped on and jumped off throughout this. I'm in Linden right now, sitting in front of a bakery because I'm addicted to bakeries. Here you are, the Linden Bakery. And then across the street, you've got Avenue Bread. So what a great place Linden is. My milkshake's in the car. I should have brought it with me, but I got a chocolate malt today. Can I just win the primary already? Yeah, I'm a fan of that. But tonight here in Linden, we're going to be holding an event in a raspberry field in a barn. And if you're free, 6 o'clock would be great. And then tomorrow I'll be in LaConner midday, then taking a flight to Spokane for an event that will be supporting the first responders right there in Riverside Park. Please join us. I'll be there to speak around 6 o'clock. All right, please support Slide Waters, by the way. Please send a message on Facebook. Go to Slide Waters. Just send them a message. Let them know that you support them, that you're praying for them. They've started a GoFundMe. I think they're up to $5,000 now for that $10,000 fine that Jay Inslee gave him yesterday. They're demanding that business shuts down. But the burdens of paying for mortgages and loans, you depend on a business running, which it has for, I think, 50 years or some unbelievable number. For a long time it's been running. And Burke and Jen just purchased it a few years ago, and so now they're trying to run it and have it be a place where family can gather, and now Jay Inslee wants to shut it down. It's time for Jay Inslee to be done. This is our time. I'm asking you to please. A couple of friends are coming in right now, so please go to freedforgovernor.com. Please encourage your friends to go vote. Please encourage your friends to go vote. Call 20 friends, text 20 friends, whatever it might be, but I look forward to seeing you on the trail. God bless.